Welcome to today's class, Use of English, GST101. During the last class, we said that there are 4 basic language skills, and we mentioned listening during the last class. And today, we'll be looking at 3 other basic language skills. Receptive skills are also known as listening and reading, while expressive skills look at speaking and writing skills. Receptive language skills are referred to as the ability to understand or comprehend language, heard or read, which includes being able to follow directions, understand a story, and understand figurative language. Expressive language skills means being able to put thoughts into words and sentences in a way that makes sense and is grammatically accurate. Expressive language skills include learning the form of language such as verb forms, plural endings, and how to use pronouns, as well as the content of language. The skills include not only words, but also the grammar rules that dictate how words are combined into phrases, sentences, and paragraphs, as well as the use of gestures and facial expressions. Can you differentiate between hearing and listening? Hearing and listening are quite different. Hearing is a physiological phenomenon, while listening is a psychological art. The speaking skill is closely related to the listening skill. I'll take that again. The speaking skill is almost closely related to listening skill, since language users begin to speak by imitating what they hear from people in their speech community. As far as man is concerned, imitation is possible. One picks what he or she hears from his environment and runs with that and repeats it in his speech environment or community. Reading is another aspect of language skills. It is an important communication skill and an indispensable tool for learning at the various levels of the educational system. Reading is a communication process through which information is passed from the writer to the reader using written symbols. It is also a process through which one discovers what a book, journal, or magazine contains. There are 2 techniques for fast reading: skimming and scanning. Skimming is the technique to use when you're interested in getting the gist. That is when you are reading properly. That is when you skim through. But when you're scanning, you're leaving the page one after the other, not necessarily paying much attention. Hence, skimming, or scanning rather, is a technique for finding specific information quickly. It does not involve real reading. Aspects of effective note-taking and note-making. These are the essential skills for the various categories of students in tertiary institutions. Note-taking is when facts are recorded from different sources to expand human knowledge. When the facts so collected are later developed into more comprehensive and meaningful forms for future use, the process is regarded as note-making. Requirements for good note-taking. For the reader to take notes accurately, the following must be considered. 1. The ability to take good notes involves effective listening to evaluate the content of any message communicated, relate it to one's personal experience. For there to be good note-taking, there must also have been an active listening. 2. Mental alertness is another important requirement where a conscious listener studies and understands the speaker's reaction or attitude to certain facts. It means that one must be psychologically involved to be able to take good note. Thirdly, to make good notes, the writer must be fast, because when the writer is speaking, the writer does not have the reader or the writer in mind. The reader is speaking in at a certain pace that the writer must be able to keep up with. Stages of note-taking from lectures. There are three best stages of note-taking from lecture. They are pre-lecture stage. This is when students acquaint themselves with the topic of discussion ahead of the lecture. In this case, the student go to the library or to the internet or other sources to get materials that relate to the topic and study ahead of the class. It is at this stage that the relevant materials are made readily available. In normal classroom situations, students are required to have separate notebooks for different subjects or courses. Where this is not possible, students should get sheets of paper that can be stuck together in a file or folder. Just have where to document your notes. We've come to the end of today's class, and thank you for listening.